Christmas Eve, 1882. The whole town sang carols while Jacob Callahan stood at his daughter's grave. 8 years. 8 winters. 8 Christmases spent talking to a stone that never answered back. He knelt in the snow, pressed his palm against the frozen ground, whispered the only prayer he knew anymore. "I'm sorry, Mary Ellen. I'm so damn sorry." 3 miles away, a little girl knelt outside a church. Different prayer, same desperation. "Please, God, let Mama live. I'll be good forever, I promise." Neither of them knew their prayers would collide tonight. Subscribe to our channel. Follow this story to the end. Comment your city below. I want to see how far this journey travels. December 18th, 1882, Wyoming Territory. The child stood in the middle of the road like she was waiting to die. Jacob Callahan saw her from 60 yards out. Small, still, no coat, arms wrapped around herself, snow coming down so thick she looked like a ghost fading in and out of existence. His horse pulled up short. "Easy, Sergeant." Jake squinted through the white. The figure swayed, almost went down, caught herself. He should ride around, wasn't his business, hadn't been anybody's business in 8 years. The child's knees buckled. God damn it! He kicked Sergeant hard. The horse lunged forward, fighting the wind. 30 yards, 20, 10. Up close, she was worse. Maybe 8 years old. Skin gray-blue, lips purple, shaking so violent her teeth clicked together like dice in a cup. Jake swung down before Sergeant fully stopped. "What the hell you doing out here?" She looked up, eyes glassy, unfocused. Took her 3 tries to speak. Town. Trying to get to... Town's 8 miles west. You're walking east." Her face crumpled. Tears froze on her cheeks before they could fall. Jake yanked off his coat. Buffalo hide. Worth more than most men's horses. He wrapped it around her so fast she gasped. "Can't take your..." "Shut up. Get on the horse. Mama says don't go with... Your mama also wouldn't want you dead in a ditch. Move." She didn't move, just stood there, shaking, drowning in his coat. Jake grabbed her under the arms and lifted. She weighed nothing. Bones and air and desperation. He set her in the saddle, swung up behind her, pulled her back against his chest. "Hold the horn. Don't let go." Yes, sir." He kicked Sergeant into a gallop. Stupid in this weather. Dangerous. Did it anyway. The girl's body was ice against him. He wrapped his arms tighter, used himself as a windbreak, felt her shaking slow down. Speed up, slow down again. Stay awake. "I'm trying. Try harder. Talk to me. What's your name?" Emma. Emma Grace Dawson." "Where you coming from, Emma Grace Dawson?" "Mining camp, north of here. Mama got sick and they took her to town in a wagon and nobody came back for me, and I waited 2 days and... 2 days. Yes, sir. I ate the last of the beans yesterday morning, and then I started walking, but I went the wrong way, and... You been walking since yesterday?" "Yes, sir." Christ, 12 hours minimum. In this cold, she should be dead. "How old are you?" 8, almost 8. Birthday's March 15th. She said it like she'd practiced, like someone taught her dates mattered. "I remember 'cause Mama always says I came with the spring flowers." Jake's chest tightened. Mary Ellen used to say something like that about their daughter, born in April. Came with the bluebonnets. He shoved the memory down, locked it away. "Your mama's at Doc Webb's clinic." "I think so. That's what the men said when they took her, the lady doctor." "What's wrong with her?" Emma was quiet. When she spoke, her voice was different, older. "Consumption. She been coughing blood for months. She tried to hide it, but I ain't stupid. I know what blood means." Jake knew too. Consumption was a death sentence. Slow. Ugly. No cure. No hope. She got people family. Just me. Father. Gone. Left when I was 3. California. Looking for gold. Emma's voice went flat, rehearsed. Mama says he wasn't ready to be a daddy. Says some folks ain't meant for it. Your mama's a smart woman. She's the smartest person I know. Pride broke through the cold. Small flame. She can sew anything. Made me this dress. Made it from scraps she found. Ain't it pretty? Jake looked down. The dress was thin cotton, patched in 6 places. Hem uneven. But Emma was smiling for the first time. Yeah, it's pretty. They rode in silence. Wind died down some. Snow kept falling. Cheyenne's lights appeared through the gray. Yellow glow. Civilization. Mr. Callahan. Yeah. You got kids. The question hit like a fist to the chest, knocked the air out of him. His arms tightened around her without meaning to. Sorry. Emma's voice went small. Mama says I ask too many questions. I talk too much when I'm nervous. I'm real nervous right now. I'll stop talking. I had a daughter. The words came out before he could stop them. First time he'd said them out loud in years. Emma twisted to look at him. She died, long time ago. Oh. Quiet. Careful. What was her name? Mary Ellen. After her mother. That's a real pretty name. Yeah, it was. Emma turned back around, settled against his chest. I bet she was lucky, she said softly. Having a daddy who'd ride through a blizzard for her. Jake couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but hold this stranger's child and remember the one he'd failed. Doc Webb's clinic was a converted feed store on the edge of town. Smoke rose from the chimney, lamp burned in the window. Jake dismounted and lifted Emma down. This is it. This is it. She grabbed his hand, small fingers, ice cold, holding on like he might disappear. He let her. They walked in together. Heat hit them first. Then the smell. Carbolic acid and sickness. And something worse underneath. Death waiting in the corners. Eleanor Webb looked up from her desk. 45. Gray streaking through brown hair. Eyes that had seen too much and kept looking anyway. Good Lord, Jake Callahan. And who's... She saw Emma, was on her feet in a second. Get her by the fire, now. Jake steered Emma toward the wood stove. Doc Webb was already there, hands on Emma's face, checking pupils, temperature, breathing. Where'd you find her? Road north, walking wrong direction. In this storm, how long? Since yesterday. Doc Webb's hands paused. She should be dead. I know. Emma pulled at Jake's sleeve. Where's my mama? I need to see my mama. Is she here? Can I? She's here, sweetheart. Doc Webb's voice shifted, gentle now, careful. She's resting. You can see her soon. But first we need to warm you up. Can you do that for me? Emma looked at Jake, like she needed permission, like she needed him to say it was okay. Do what the doc says. You'll stay. I'll stay. She let go of his hand. Let Doc Webb wrap her in blankets. Sat by the fire with her eyes on the hallway. Waiting. Doc Webb pulled Jake aside, spoke low. The mother's bad. Hemorrhaged last night. I've done what I can. How long? Days. Week at most. Jake looked at Emma, 8 years old, sitting by the fire, wearing his coat, waiting to see her dying mother. Does the girl know? No. Sarah didn't want her to know. Wanted to protect her. Eleanor's mouth tightened. As if that's possible. What happens after, when the mother goes? That's the question, isn't it? Eleanor glanced toward the hallway. There's an uncle, brother of the father who abandoned them. Name's August Dawson. He's in Denver. Word reached him about Sarah. He's coming. Blood family. That's good. No, it's not. Eleanor's voice went hard. Augie Dawson came through here 2 years back. Drunk, mean, beat a man half to death outside the saloon. The things he said about women, about children. She shook her head. He doesn't want that little girl because he loves her. He wants her because she's old enough to work, old enough to be useful. Court won't give a child to a man like that. Court gives children to blood relatives. That's how it works. Eleanor looked at him, steady, measuring. Unless someone else steps forward. Jake stepped back. No. Jake, I said no. I can't. Can't what? Care about something, feel something. Eleanor crossed her arms. 8 years, Jake. 8 years you've been dead inside, walking around like a ghost, coming to town for supplies and whiskey and nothing else. When's the last time you talked to anyone who wasn't Sam or a bartender? Stay out of it, Eleanor. I've stayed out of it for 8 years. Watched you punish yourself for something that wasn't your fault. Watched you turn into stone. She nodded toward Emma. That little girl grabbed your hand and you let her. First time I've seen you let anyone close in almost a decade. It doesn't mean anything. It means everything. The door banged open. Cold rushed in. A man filled the doorway. Big, weathered face, long gray hair in a braid. Sam Crow Feather, Jake's foreman, his only friend. Saw your horse outside. Sam's eyes moved from Jake to Emma to Doc Webb. Took in the whole scene in 2 seconds. Trouble. Found a girl on the road, half frozen. Sam walked to the fire. Looked down at Emma. She looked up at him. Didn't flinch. Most folks flinched at Sam. Half Lakota, half white, all hard edges. You the one Jake pulled out of the snow? Yes, sir. Smart girl, getting on his horse. Most folks he'd have left in the ditch. Sam. Jake's voice carried a warning. Sam ignored it, squatted down to Emma's level. What's your name, little one? Emma Grace Dawson, sir. Well, Emma Grace Dawson. You picked the right man to save your life. He glanced back at Jake. Even if he don't know it yet. Know what? Sam stood. That some things find us whether we want them to or not. Emma visited her mother. Jake stayed in the waiting room. Couldn't go back there. Couldn't watch a dying woman hold her child. Couldn't see Mary Ellen's face on a stranger. Sam sat beside him, silent, waiting. Don't start, Jake said. Didn't say nothing. You're thinking it. Thinking what? That I should help her, the girl. That I should... Jake shook his head. I can't. Can't or won't. Both. Sam leaned back, crossed his arms. You remember what you said to me when you hired me 20 years ago? No. You said, I don't care what you are or where you come from. I care what you do. You gave me a chance when nobody else would. Sam's voice was quiet, even. That little girl needs a chance, Jake. Question is whether you're still the man who gives them. I'm not that man anymore. You rode through a blizzard for her. I found her in the road. Anybody would have. Anybody didn't. You did. Sam stood. I'll get the horses settled. You figure out what you're doing. He left. Jake sat alone, stared at the wall. Footsteps in the hallway. Emma appeared, face wet, eyes red, still wearing his coat. She walked straight to him, climbed into the chair beside him, pressed against his side. She's sleeping now. Doc gave her medicine for the pain. Jake said nothing. She looks real sick, Mr. Callahan. Emma's voice was small, scared. Real sick. I know. Is she gonna die? The question hung in the air. Jake looked down at her, at those green eyes too old for 8 years, at the fear underneath the bravery. He should lie, should protect her, should say what adults always said to children. Yeah, he said. She is. Emma didn't cry, didn't scream, just nodded, like she'd known, like she'd been waiting for someone to finally tell her the truth. How long? Days, maybe a week. And then I'll be alone. Emma. I don't got nobody else. Daddy's gone. Grandma and Grandpa died before I was born. Uncle Augie. She shuddered. Mama says never to go with Uncle Augie. Says he's bad. Real bad. You won't have to go with him. The words came out before Jake could stop them. Emma looked up. How do you know? He didn't. He didn't know anything. Didn't know why he was still here. Why he'd let this child climb into the chair beside him. Why her small body against his arm felt like something he'd lost and couldn't name. I just know. Promise. Jake Callahan hadn't made a promise in 8 years. Hadn't trusted himself to keep one. I promise. Emma's hand found his, held on tight. He should have left then. Should have ridden back to the ranch. Back to the empty house. The locked room. The grave on the hill where Mary Ellen and little Mary Ellen slept side by side. Instead, he stayed. Sat in that chair while Emma slept against his shoulder. Watched the lamp burn down. Listened to the wind howl outside. Doc Webb came out at midnight. Looked at them. Raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. The mother wants to see you. Me. You. Says she won't sleep until she talks to the man who saved her daughter. Jake looked at Emma. Sleeping. Peaceful. Face soft in the lamplight. She'll be fine, Eleanor said. I'll watch her. Go. He went. Sarah Dawson's room was small. One window. One cot. One woman dying by inches. She looked worse than Jake expected. Skeleton thin, skin like paper, eyes too bright, fever burning her up from the inside. But when she saw him, she smiled. You're him, the one who found my Emma. Yes, ma'am. Come closer, please. I can't. She coughed. Wet. Terrible. Wiped her mouth with a handkerchief already stained red. I can't speak loud anymore. Jake moved to the bedside, stood there awkward, didn't know what to do with his hands. Sit. Sarah pointed to a chair. Please. He sat. She talks about you. Sarah's voice was a rasp. The man on the horse. The man who wrapped her in his coat. She thinks you're something special. I ain't special. To her you are. Sarah's eyes found his. Held. I know who you are, Mr. Callahan. Know about your ranch. Your wife and daughter. What happened? Jake went still. Small town. People talk. Sarah's hand moved across the blanket. Found his. Her grip was weak. Desperate. I'm dying. We both know it. Days now. And when I go, my daughter will have no one. There's the uncle. No. Sharp. Fierce. More life in that single word than in her whole body. Not Augie. Never Augie. He's cruel, Mr. Callahan. Cruel in ways that don't show on the surface. I've seen how he treats animals. Seen him smile while causing pain. Her eyes filled with tears. I'd rather Emma die with me than go to him. The orphanage. Reverend Whitmore's place. Sarah laughed. Bitter. Broken. I've heard stories. Children put to work. Beaten for crying. Starved for disobedience. That's not salvation. That's slavery with a cross on the door. Jake said nothing. Couldn't argue. He'd heard the same stories. I'm asking you. Sarah's grip tightened. Surprising strength from a dying woman. Take her. When I'm gone. Take her somewhere safe. Give her a chance. I can't. You lost your daughter. Same age as Emma. I know. Sarah's voice cracked. I'm not asking you to replace her. I'm not asking you to love mine like you loved yours. I'm asking you to save her. That's all. Just save her. There's got to be someone else. Someone better. I don't know nothing about raising. She chose you. Jake stopped. On that road. In that storm. She got on your horse. She held your hand. She's sleeping against your shoulder right now. Sarah's tears fell. My daughter doesn't trust anyone. Her father taught her that. The world taught her that. But she trusts you. And that means something. That means everything. Jake looked at his hands. Rough. Calloused. Hands that had failed his wife. Failed his daughter. Failed everyone he'd ever tried to protect. I'm not a good man anymore. Good men don't ride through blizzards for strangers. Good men don't give their coats to dying children. Good men don't sit in hospital chairs all night keeping watch. Sarah's voice softened. You're a good man, Mr. Callahan. You just forgot. The door opened. Emma stood there, sleepy, confused. Jake's coat dragging on the floor behind her. Mama. Come here, baby girl. Emma ran to the bed, climbed up, curled against her mother's side. Sarah wrapped an arm around her, looked at Jake over her daughter's head. Please, she mouthed. Silent, desperate. Please. Jake stood, walked to the door, stopped, turned back. Sarah. His wife's name had been Mary Ellen, same name as his daughter, but Sarah was close enough to sound like a ghost. I'll think about it. Sarah closed her eyes. Thank you. He walked out, found Sam waiting in the hallway. Heard everything? Sam said. No apology. Eavesdropping now. Protecting you. Like always. Sam fell into step beside him. What are you gonna do? I don't know. Yeah, you do. They walked outside. Cold hit like a wall. Snow had stopped. Stars burning bright overhead. Somewhere in town, church bells chimed. 2 a.m. 6 days until Christmas. I can't be what that girl needs, Jake said. Maybe not. But you're what she's got. Sam untied the horses, handed Jake his reins. You remember what you said at Mary Ellen's grave last week? Jake's jaw tightened. You were there. I'm always there, making sure you don't do something stupid. Sam swung into his saddle. You said, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry I wasn't there. You've been saying that for 8 years. Maybe it's time to stop apologizing to the dead and start showing up for the living. Jake mounted Sergeant, sat there in the dark, looking at the clinic, the lamp still burning in the window. Her uncle's coming. Doc says he's mean. And Reverend Whitmore. Whitmore's worse than mean. Whitmore's righteous, most dangerous kind there is. Sam turned his horse toward home. You coming? Jake looked at the clinic one more time. Inside, a dying woman held her daughter, praying for a miracle, praying for him. Yeah, Jake said. I'm coming. But he didn't move. Not yet. Boss? Go ahead. I'll catch up. Sam studied him, nodded slowly. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. That leaves a lot of room. Sam almost smiled. Yeah, it does. He rode off, hoofbeats fading into silence. Jake sat alone in the cold, thinking about locked rooms and frozen ponds and a little girl who'd grabbed his hand like he was worth holding on to. Tomorrow he'd ride back to the ranch, back to his empty life, back to the grave on the hill. But tonight, the clinic door opened. Emma stepped out, still wearing his coat, looking for him. She saw him. Her whole face changed, lit up. She ran through the snow, stopped at Sergeant's side, looking up at him with those 2 old eyes. I thought you left. Not yet. Will you come back tomorrow? Yeah. Promise. That word again, promise, like it meant something. Like promises weren't just words people broke when keeping them got hard. Yeah, I promise. Emma smiled. First real smile he'd seen from her. Gap-toothed, crooked, beautiful. Good night, Mr. Callahan. Good night, Emma Grace. She ran back inside, door closed, lamp still burning. Jake turned Sergeant south, started the long ride home. Behind him, Cheyenne disappeared into the dark. Ahead, nothing but snow and silence, and the weight of a promise he wasn't sure he could keep. But he'd made it anyway. And somewhere in the cold, something cracked. Small fissure in the ice around his heart. First one in 8 years. He didn't try to freeze it back over. Not tonight. Jake didn't sleep that night. He sat in the dark kitchen of his ranch house, coffee going cold in his hand, staring at nothing. The clock on the wall ticked past 3, 4, 5. Sam found him there at dawn. You look like hell. Feel like it too. Sam poured himself coffee, sat down across from Jake, waited. I made her a promise, Jake said finally. I know. I shouldn't have. I can't. Can't what? Keep your word. Sam blew on his coffee. That used to mean something to you. That was before. Before Mary Ellen, before your daughter, before you decided living was too hard. Sam's voice was flat. No judgment. Just fact. You've been using their deaths as an excuse for 8 years, Jake. Maybe it's time to stop. Jake's head snapped up. Excuse? You heard me? My wife and daughter died. That ain't an excuse. That's what happened. It ain't who you are. Sam set down his cup. You were a Texas Ranger, best tracker in the territory. You saved more lives than you can count. Then tragedy hit, and you crawled into a hole and pulled the dirt in after you. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I lost my whole tribe. Smallpox. Soldiers. Doesn't matter which killed more. Sam's eyes were hard. I could have laid down and died. Nobody would have blamed me. But I didn't. Because the dead don't need our company. The living do. Jake stood up. Chair scraped loud against the floor. I'm going to check the cattle. You're running. I'm working. Same thing. Has been for years. Jake grabbed his hat, walked out, slammed the door behind him. The cold hit him like a slap. Good. He deserved it. He saddled Sergeant, rode out to the north pasture, checked fences that didn't need checking, counted cattle he already knew were there, kept moving because stopping meant thinking. Thinking meant remembering. The sun was high when he finally stopped. Sergeant needed water. Jake dismounted by the creek, let the horse drink, and stood there, looking at nothing, seeing everything. Mary Ellen's face the day they married, laughing, beautiful, alive. His daughter's first steps, toddling across the kitchen floor, arms out, reaching for him. The telegram. 3 words that ended his world. Come home now. The graves, 2 of them, side by side. His wife, his baby girl, gone before he could say goodbye. He'd been in Fort Worth, chasing a murderer, doing his job, being the hero, while his family died without him. You can't save everyone, the preacher had said at the funeral. Some things are God's will. Jake had wanted to put his fist through the man's face. God's will. Like God gave a damn about a 3-year-old girl choking on fever. Like God cared that a mother held her baby and watched her die and then followed her into the dark. He'd quit the Rangers the next day. Bought this ranch. Built walls around his heart. 8 years. 8 years of nothing. And then a little girl in a snowstorm grabbed his hand. Damn it! He mounted Sergeant, turned toward town. The clinic was busy when Jake arrived. 2 miners in the waiting room, coughing, bleeding. Doc Webb moving between them with efficiency born of too much practice. She saw Jake, raised an eyebrow. Back so soon? Where's Emma? With her mother, room in the back. Eleanor finished bandaging a miner's hand, wiped blood on her apron. Sarah's worse. Fever spiked this morning. I don't think she's got long. Jake's stomach dropped. How long? Day, maybe 2. Eleanor's voice softened. The girl knows. She won't leave her mother's side, won't eat, won't sleep, just sits there holding her hand. Jake walked past her, down the hallway, stopped outside Sarah's door. Emma sat in a chair too big for her. still wearing his coat. Her mother's hand clutched in both of hers. Sarah was unconscious, breathing shallow, rattling. "Mr. Callahan." Emma's voice was hoarse, like she'd been crying for hours. Maybe she had. "Hey, you came back. I promised, didn't I?" A ghost of a smile. "Yeah, you did." Jake walked in, stood beside the bed, looked down at Sarah Dawson. She was worse than yesterday. Skin gray now, lips cracked, eyes sunken deep in her skull. Death was in the room with them, waiting. "Doc says she might not wake up again," Emma whispered. "Says the fever's too high. Says—" Her voice broke. "Says I should say goodbye." Jake knelt beside her chair, eye level, man to child. "You scared?" "Yes, sir." "That's okay. Scared is normal." "Are you ever scared, Mr. Callahan?" Every damn day he thought. Scared of feeling, scared of caring, scared of losing again. "Yeah," he said. "I am." "Of what?" He looked at Sarah, at Emma, at his own hands, useless and empty. "Of not being strong enough, when it matters." Emma considered this. 8 years old, carrying the weight of a dying mother, processing grief no child should know. "I think you're strong," she said quietly. "You rode through a blizzard. You gave me your coat. You came back. That ain't strength. That's just showing up." Emma's eyes met his. "Mama says showing up is the hardest part. Lots of people say they'll be there. Not many actually come." Jake's throat closed. The door opened. Doc Webb stepped in. "Jake, someone's here to see you." "Who?" "Says his name is Reverend Whitmore." Jake's jaw tightened. "What's he want?" "The girl." Emma's hand shot out, grabbed Jake's arm, held on tight. "Please don't let him take me. Please. Mama said never go with the Reverend. She said—" "Shh." Jake put his hand over hers. "Nobody's taking you anywhere." He stood, looked at Eleanor. "Stay with her." "Jake, stay with her." He walked out, down the hallway, into the waiting room. Reverend Cornelius Whitmore stood by the door. Black suit, black hat, Bible in one hand, smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Callahan, we haven't formally met. I know who you are. Then you know I run the Lord's Haven Orphanage. Fine institution. We've saved many children from lives of sin and poverty. I've heard stories about your institution." Whitmore's smile flickered, recovered. "Stories spread by those who don't understand discipline. Children need structure, Mr. Callahan. They need firm guidance. Spare the rod, spoil the child." "What do you want?" "I understand there's a little girl here, Emma Dawson. Her mother is dying. The child will need a home." "She's got one." Whitmore's eyebrows rose. "Oh, and where might that be?" "With me." Silence. The miners in the corner stopped their conversation. Doc Webb appeared in the hallway. "You, Mr. Callahan." Whitmore's voice dripped disbelief. "A bachelor rancher with no wife, no children, no experience with—" "I had a daughter." "Had, past tense, which only proves my point." Whitmore stepped closer. "The law is clear. Orphaned children go to blood relatives first. Failing that, to established institutions. Not to strangers with questionable motives." Questionable motives. A grown man alone taking in a little girl. Whitmore's smile turned cruel. "People will talk, Mr. Callahan. People will wonder." Jake's hands curled into fists. "You want to say that again?" "I'm simply pointing out how it might appear. To the courts. To the community." Whitmore spread his hands. "I'm offering an alternative, a proper Christian home. Education, moral guidance. And free labor. I beg your pardon. Your orphans work the fields, harvest season, planting season, dawn to dusk. I've seen them." Jake stepped forward. Whitmore stepped back. "Little kids, 6, 7 years old. working like slaves while you collect donations from Eastern do-gooders who think they're saving souls. Whitmore's mask slipped, just for a second, something ugly underneath. The children learn the value of honest work. There's nothing wrong with, get out. Mr. Callahan. I said get out. That girl ain't going to your orphanage, not today, not ever. The law? The law says blood relatives first. There's an uncle coming. Until he gets here, I'm her guardian. Doc Webb can testify. Eleanor nodded. He's been with the family since yesterday. Sarah Dawson specifically requested his help. Whitmore looked between them, calculating, reassessing. Very well. But this isn't over, Mr. Callahan. That child needs proper care, proper guidance, and I intend to see she gets it. He walked out. Door slammed behind him. Jake let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Jake. Eleanor's voice was warning. Whitmore's got friends, town council, sheriff. Judge Patterson goes to his church. I don't care. You should. He's dangerous. So am I. He walked back to Sarah's room. Emma was still there, still holding her mother's hand. She looked up when he entered, eyes searching. Is he gone? He's gone. Is he coming back? Probably. Jake sat down beside her. But I'll be here when he does. Promise? Yeah, promise. Emma leaned against him. Small body, warm, alive, trusting him in a way no one had trusted him in years. Mr. Callahan. Yeah. What did my mama ask you last night, when I was sleeping? Jake was quiet, thought about lying, decided Emma deserved better. She asked me to take care of you, after. Emma's breath caught. What did you say? I said I'd think about it. And have you thought about it? Jake looked at Sarah. Unconscious. Dying. Running out of time to ask anyone for anything. Yeah, he said. I have. What did you decide? I ain't decided yet. Emma pulled back. Looked at him. Those two old eyes seeing right through him. Yes, you have. You just ain't said it out loud yet. 8 years old. Smarter than half the adults he knew. Maybe, he admitted. So say it. Emma. Please, I need to hear it. I need... Her voice cracked. I need to know somebody wants me. Before she goes. I need to know I ain't gonna be alone. Jake looked at her. At this child who'd been walking alone in a blizzard, who'd been abandoned by her father, who was about to lose her mother, who'd learned at 8 years old that the world was cold and people left and nothing was certain. You ain't gonna be alone, he said. You mean it. I mean it. You'll keep me, like she was something that could be thrown away, like she was used to being discarded. Yeah, I'll keep you. Emma threw her arms around him, sobbed into his chest. Jake held her, awkward, unpracticed, but holding on. On the bed, Sarah's eyes fluttered open. Just for a moment, she saw them, saw Emma in Jake's arms, saw her daughter safe, protected, wanted. She smiled, closed her eyes, and didn't open them again. Doc Webb checked Sarah's pulse an hour later, shook her head. She's still alive, but barely. Could be hours now. Emma hadn't moved, still pressed against Jake's side, still holding her mother's hand. I want to be here, Emma said. When it happens, I want to be with her. Okay. Will you stay too? As long as you need. Sam arrived at sundown. Brought food nobody would eat. Stood in the doorway watching. Whitmore was at the ranch, he said quietly to Jake. Talking to some of the hands. Asking questions. What kind of questions? About you. Your past. Your daughter. Sam's jaw tightened. Trying to dig up dirt? He won't find any. Everybody's got dirt, Jake. Just depends how deep they dig. What's he looking for? Anything that makes you unfit. Anything that gives him leverage. Sam glanced at Emma. He wants that girl. Don't know why, but he wants her bad. Jake's stomach turned. Why would a reverend want one specific orphan? There were dozens of children in need. Why Emma? Find out, Jake said. Ask around. See what you can learn. Already on it. Sam paused. There's something else. What? Telegram came to the post office. From Denver. The uncle. August Dawson. He's arriving day after tomorrow. Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve. 2 days away. How do you know about the telegram? Postmaster owes me a favor. Sam's smile was thin. Man likes his whiskey. I like information. We trade. What else did it say? Just that he's coming. And that he expects to collect his property. Property. Not niece. Property. Jake looked at Emma. Still holding her mother's hand. Still waiting. He ain't getting her, Sam. I know. Whatever it takes. I know that too. Sam put a hand on Jake's shoulder. Get some rest. I'll watch the door. I'm not leaving her. Didn't ask you to leave. Asked you to rest. Sam nodded toward a cot in the corner. Lay down. Close your eyes. I'll wake you if anything changes. Jake wanted to argue. Couldn't find the energy. He lay down on the cot, stared at the ceiling. Emma's voice drifted across the room, soft, talking to her mother. It's okay, Mama. You can go. Mr. Callahan's gonna take care of me. He promised. And I think... Her voice wavered. I think he keeps his promises. Jake closed his eyes, felt something hot behind them. Ignored it. Sleep found him eventually. Restless, full of dreams. Mary Ellen calling his name. His daughter laughing. Then screaming. Then silence. He woke to Emma shaking his arm. Mr. Callahan. Mr. Callahan, wake up. He sat up fast. Hand going to his hip where his gun used to be. What? What is it? She's talking. Emma's face was wet with tears. Mama's talking. Jake crossed the room. Sarah's eyes were open, fever bright, looking at nothing. Tom. Sarah's voice was a rasp. Tom, is that you? No, ma'am. It's Jake Callahan. Sarah blinked, focused, came back from wherever she'd been. Mr. Callahan. A weak smile. I was dreaming. Thought I saw my husband. The way he was before he left. Emma's here. Sarah's eyes found her daughter, filled with tears. Baby girl. I'm here, Mama. I'm right here. Sarah's hand came up, trembling, touched Emma's face, traced her cheek, her jaw, her hair. You look like your grandmother. Did I ever tell you that same eyes, same stubborn chin? You told me, Mama. Promise me something. Anything. Be happy. Sarah's voice cracked. Whatever happens, whoever you're with, be happy. That's all I ever wanted for you. Just be happy. I'll try, Mama. And don't forget me. Never. Emma was crying openly now. Never, Mama. I'll never forget you. Sarah looked at Jake. Her eyes cleared, sharp, present. Take care of her. I will. Don't let Augie have her. Don't let Whitmore... A cough interrupted her. Blood on her lips. Promise me. I promise. Sarah nodded, satisfied, looked back at Emma. I love you, baby girl. More than anything in this whole world. I love you too, Mama. I'll be watching. From heaven. I'll be... Another cough. Worse this time. I'll be watching. Her eyes closed. Her breath rattled. Stopped. Started again. Rattled some more. Emma climbed onto the bed, curled up beside her mother. Head on Sarah's shoulder. Hand on Sarah's heart. I'm here, Mama. I'm right here. You can rest now. You can... The rattling stopped. Silence. Absolute. complete. Emma lifted her head, looked at her mother's face. Peaceful now. Pain finally gone. "Mama?" No answer. "Mama, wake up." Nothing. "Mama, please. Please wake up. Please don't." Jake crossed the room, lifted Emma off the bed. She fought him, screaming, kicking. "No, let me go. Mama, Mama, please." He held her tight. Let her rage. Let her scream. Let her break. Doc Webb appeared, checked Sarah's pulse, shook her head. "She's gone. I'm sorry." Emma collapsed against Jake, sobbing, wailing, the sound of a heart shattering. Jake held her and said nothing. There was nothing to say. Some pains had no words, no comfort, no fix. You just held on and waited for the storm to pass. An hour later, Emma was empty, cried out, sitting in Jake's lap like a rag doll, staring at nothing. "What happens now?" Her voice was hollow. "We bury your mama. Proper. With a stone and flowers and everything she deserved. And then you come with me. To your ranch. Yeah. Forever." Jake looked at her. At this child who'd lost everything, who had nobody, who'd grabbed his hand and not let go. "Yeah," he said, "forever." Emma nodded, slow, like she was processing information too big to understand. "Mr. Callahan." "Yeah." "Will you help me pick the flowers for Mama's grave?" His throat closed. "Yeah, I'll help you pick the flowers." She leaned against him, small, broken, but breathing. Outside, snow started falling again, soft, quiet, covering the world in white. Inside, a man who'd forgotten how to love held a child who'd lost everything. And somewhere between the grief and the silence, something shifted. Not healed, not fixed, but different. The door opened. Sam stepped in, face hard. "We got trouble." "What kind?" "Whitmore kind. He's at the sheriff's office, filing a petition. Says you're unfit. Says the girl should go to his orphanage immediately. Says what?" Sam hesitated, looked at Emma, back at Jake. "Says your daughter didn't die of fever. Says there was talk at the time, questions, about what really happened." Jake went cold. "That's a lie." "I know it's a lie. You know it's a lie. But Whitmore's got people willing to swear otherwise. And Judge Patterson's listening." Emma looked up, confused, scared. "What does that mean?" Jake stood, set Emma in the chair, looked at Sam. "Watch her." "Where are you going?" "To have a conversation with the Reverend." "Jake, watch her." He walked out, into the cold, into the dark. Whitmore wanted a fight. He was about to get one. The sheriff's office sat at the end of Main Street, yellow light, spilling from the windows onto the snow. Jake pushed through the door without knocking. Reverend Whitmore stood by the desk. Sheriff Tom Grady sat behind it, looking like a man who wished he was anywhere else. Both turned when Jake entered. "Mr. Callahan." Whitmore's smile was oil on water. "We were just discussing you." "I heard." "Then you know I've filed a formal petition for the child's welfare." Jake walked straight at him, didn't stop until they were chest to chest. Whitmore backed up, hit the wall. "You want to repeat what you said about my daughter? I don't know what you... Don't lie to me." Jake's voice was quiet, dangerous. "You told the sheriff there were questions about how my daughter died. You want to say that to my face?" Whitmore's eyes darted to Grady, looking for help. Grady studied his desk. "I merely suggested that the circumstances warranted investigation. A man with your history." "My history." Jake grabbed Whitmore's collar, lifted him onto his toes. "My daughter died of scarlet fever, same as her mother. I wasn't there because I was tracking a murderer for the Rangers. I came home to 2 graves and a house full of ghosts." "Jake." Sheriff Grady stood up. "Let him go." "Not until he takes back what he said." "I said let him go. Now." Jake held on for another 3 seconds, then released. Whitmore stumbled, straightened his collar. His mask slipped back into place. This is exactly what I mean, Sheriff. The man is violent, unstable. Is this who we want raising a child? You don't give a damn about that child. Jake stepped back, forced his hands to unclench. What do you really want? I want what's best for... Don't. Jake turned to Grady. You and I go back 15 years, Tom. You know me. You know what kind of man I am. Grady sighed. I know you were a good ranger, Jake. I know you've kept to yourself since your family passed. But Whitmore's got the law on his side. Blood relatives have first claim, failing that established institutions. His institution is a prison. That's a serious accusation. I've seen his orphans working the fields. 6-year-olds hauling water. 8-year-olds digging ditches. That ain't charity. That's slavery. Whitmore's face reddened. The children learn discipline, honest work. They're fed, clothed, educated. They're beaten, starved, worked until they drop. Jake looked at Grady. Ask around, Tom. Ask the folks who've seen it. Ask the kids who ran away. Ran away? Grady frowned. I ain't heard about runaways. Because they get brought back, or they don't survive the winter. Jake's stomach turned. How many kids have you lost over the years, Reverend? How many died of accidents or illness? Whitmore's mask cracked. Something dark underneath. You're making accusations you can't prove. Then let me prove them. Open your books. Let the sheriff inspect your orphanage. If you've got nothing to hide. The Lord's Haven is a religious institution. We answer to God, not to... You answer to the law like everyone else. Silence. Grady looked between them, thinking. Reverend, maybe it wouldn't hurt to... Sheriff Grady. Whitmore's voice went cold. I'd remind you that Judge Patterson is a close personal friend, as is Mayor Hendricks, as are half the businessmen on the town council. Do you really want to make enemies of the entire church community? Grady's face changed. The fight went out of him. Jake, I can't stop the petition. Law's the law. There'll be a hearing, day after Christmas. Judge Patterson presiding. Patterson goes to Whitmore's church. That's how it is. Jake looked at Whitmore, at his smug smile, his dead eyes. This ain't over. No, Mr. Callahan, it isn't. Whitmore adjusted his hat. I'll see you in court, and I'll see that child in my care by week's end. He walked out. The door closed behind him. Jake stood there, shaking. Not from cold. Tom. Yeah, you know what he is, what he does to those kids. Grady couldn't meet his eyes. I know what people say, but saying and proving are two different things. And Whitmore's got powerful friends. Since when does that matter? Since always, Jake. You've been gone too long. Forgot how the world works. Grady sat down heavily. Get yourself a lawyer, a good one. That's the best advice I can give you. Jake walked out. The cold hit him, but he barely felt it. Sam was waiting outside, leaning against a post, arms crossed. How'd it go? About how you'd expect. Whitmore still breathing. Unfortunately, Sam fell into step beside him. What's the plan? Find a lawyer, fight the petition, keep Emma safe until what? The uncle gets here. The hearing happens. Jake, we're running out of time. I know. Do you? Because that girl just lost her mother. She's sitting in that clinic scared out of her mind. And you're out here picking fights you can't win. Jake stopped, turned. What do you want me to do? Sam let Whitmore take her. Hand her over to an uncle who calls her property. Give up. I want you to think. Use your head instead of your fists. Sam's voice dropped. Whitmore's dirty. We both know it. So find the dirt. Dig it up. Use it against him. How? I got contacts. People who've worked at the orphanage. People who've seen things. Sam glanced around, lowered his voice further. There's a woman. Used to cook for Whitmore. Got fired last year. She's been talking to anyone who'll listen. Nobody believes her because she's poor and he's a reverend. Where is she? Tent City, north of town. Same place Emma and her mama were staying. Take me to her. Now. Now. They rode north through the snow, past the edge of town, past the respectable houses, into the place where dreams went to die. The tent city was worse than Jake remembered. Canvas shelters, cooking fires, families huddled together against the cold, children with hollow eyes watching strangers pass. Sam led him to a tent at the edge, smaller than the others, patched and repatched. "Molly, you in there?" A woman emerged. 40 maybe. Hard to tell. Worn down by life. Gray hair, nervous eyes. "Sam Crowfeather. Didn't expect to see you again. This is Jake Callahan. He needs to hear what you told me, about Whitmore." Molly's face changed. Fear, disgust, something else. "I already told everyone. Nobody listens." "I'll listen," Jake said. She studied him. Whatever she saw made her nod. "Come inside. It's cold." The tent was cramped. A cot. A small stove. Nothing else. Molly sat on the cot. Jake and Sam stood. "I cooked for the orphanage for 3 years. Saw everything." Molly's hands twisted in her lap. "The Reverend talks real pretty. Donations pour in from back east. Rich folks who want to feel good about saving poor children. Where does the money go?" "His pocket. The kids get scraps. Literal scraps. Whatever's left over after Whitmore and his people eat their fill." Molly's voice hardened. "I started sneaking extra food to the children. That's why he fired me." "What else did you see? The work. Dawn to dusk. Fields in summer. Laundry in winter. The older boys get hired out to ranchers. The Reverend keeps their wages." She paused. "And the punishments." "What kind of punishments?" "Beatings. The cellar. Days without food." Molly's eyes went distant. "There was a boy, Tommy, 12 years old. Tried to run away. They caught him. Brought him back. Whitmore made an example." "What happened?" "Tommy spent a week in the cellar. No food, no water. When they brought him out," her voice broke. "He couldn't walk right anymore. Something wrong with his legs. They said he fell, but I saw the marks. I saw what they did." Jake's stomach turned. "Where's Tommy now?" "Dead. Died last winter. They said pneumonia." Molly looked up. "But healthy boys don't get pneumonia. Starving boys do. Beaten boys do." "Would you testify in court?" "Against Whitmore?" Molly laughed bitterly. "I tried. Went to the sheriff. He said I was a disgruntled employee. Went to the mayor. He said I was making trouble. Went to the church. They're all in his pocket." "Or scared of him? Or both?" Molly stood up, faced Jake directly. "You want to take him down? You'll need more than my word. You'll need proof, documents, witnesses who matter." "Where would I find those?" "His office, at the orphanage. He keeps records of everything. Donations received, expenses paid. The difference between those numbers would tell you everything." "How do I get into his office?" Molly reached under her cot, pulled out a key. "I made a copy before he fired me. Always thought it might come in handy." Jake took the key, heavy in his palm. "Why are you helping me?" "Because I couldn't save Tommy. Couldn't save any of them." Molly's eyes filled with tears. "But maybe you can save that little girl, the one whose mother just died. Word travels fast in the tent city." "You knew Sarah." "She sewed me a dress once, wouldn't take payment, said mothers have to help each other." Molly wiped her eyes. "She was a good woman. Her daughter deserves better than what Whitmore would give her." Jake pocketed the key. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Just burn that bastard to the ground." They rode back to town in silence. Snow falling heavier now, wind picking up. "You're going to break into the orphanage," Sam said. "Not a question. Tonight. I'm coming with you. No, I need you with Emma. If something happens, she'll need you, not me. Sam grabbed Sergeant's reins, stopped both horses. You get caught, you go to jail. Whitmore wins. Emma loses. That what you want? I won't get caught. Jake. I was a ranger for 12 years, Sam. I can pick a lock and read some papers without getting noticed. Sam didn't let go. And if you're wrong, if they catch you, what do I tell that little girl? Jake thought about it. About Emma waiting at the clinic. About the promise he'd made. Tell her I tried. That's not good enough. It's all I got. Sam released the reins, shook his head. You're a stubborn fool. Always have been. Your wife used to say the same thing. Jake almost smiled. She was right. They reached the clinic. Emma was asleep in the waiting room, curled up on a bench, still wearing Jake's coat. Doc Webb stood over her, watching. She cried herself out, fell asleep about an hour ago. Has she eaten? Wouldn't touch food, kept asking when you'd be back. Jake knelt beside the bench, brushed hair from Emma's face. She stirred, eyes fluttered open. Mr. Callahan. Hey. I thought you left. Just had some business to handle. Did you find the Reverend? Yeah. Is he still going to try to take me? Jake looked at her red-rimmed eyes, her tear-stained face, her small body curled tight like she was trying to take up as little space as possible. He's going to try, but I'm not going to let him. How do you know? Because I made you a promise. Lots of people make promises. Emma's voice was old, tired. Daddy promised he'd come back. Mama promised she'd get better. Jake's heart cracked. I know. And I can't promise everything will be okay. I can't promise I'll never let you down. He took her hand. But I can promise I'll fight for you. Every day. No matter what. Can that be enough? Emma was quiet, thinking. That man, the Reverend, he scares me. He scares me too. Really? People who hurt children are the scariest kind. Does he hurt children? I think so, and I'm going to prove it. How? I've got a plan. Is it dangerous? Jake hesitated, decided on truth. Maybe. Then don't do it. Emma sat up, grabbed his arm. Please, don't leave me. Everyone leaves. Please don't. Hey. Hey. He pulled her close. I'm not leaving. I'm just going to get some papers, that's all. I'll be back before morning. Promise? Promise. Emma held on tighter. Can Sam stay with me? That's the plan. Okay. She pulled back, wiped her nose on her sleeve. Okay. But if you're not back by morning, I'm coming to find you. Deal. Sam stepped forward. Come on, little one. Let's get you something to eat. You need your strength. Emma looked at Jake one more time. Then let Sam lead her to the back. Doc Webb waited until they were gone. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Always am. Liar. She handed him a small bag. Bandages. Antiseptic. In case things go wrong. Thanks, Eleanor. Don't thank me. Just come back in one piece. That girl's lost enough. Jake rode out at midnight. Full moon behind the clouds. Snow crunching under Sergeant's hooves. The orphanage sat 2 miles outside town. Big building. Used to be a hotel before the railroad bypassed Cheyenne. Whitmore had bought it cheap, filled it with children nobody wanted. Jake left Sergeant in a stand of trees, approached on foot. The building was dark, one light burning in a second-floor window. Whitmore's quarters probably. Jake circled to the back, found the kitchen door. Molly's key fit the lock. He slipped inside. Let his eyes adjust. Kitchen. Empty. Pots and pans hanging silent. Smell of old grease and desperation. He moved through the building. Years of ranger training coming back. Soft steps, controlled breathing, awareness of every sound. The office was on the first floor, behind the main hall. Jake found it, used the key. Inside, desk, filing cabinets, papers everywhere. He lit a small candle, shielded the flame with his hand, started searching. Donation records, hundreds of dollars from Eastern charities, churches, wealthy widows, all documented with grateful letters and promises of good works. Expense records, food, clothing, education, numbers that didn't add up. Jake compared them. Donations totaled over $3,000 last year, expenses listed at $500. Where did the rest go? He found it. A separate ledger, hidden in a locked drawer. Jake picked the lock. Personal accounts, real estate purchases, investments, stock in the railroad. Whitmore was rich, getting richer every day, all on the backs of children who ate scraps and worked like slaves. But that wasn't the worst part. In the back of the ledger, a list, names, ages, dates. Children who had departed the orphanage over the years: Tommy, Sarah, Michael, Elizabeth. A dozen more. No forwarding addresses, no adoption records, just names and dates. And next to each name, a notation, amounts paid, who paid them. Jake's blood went cold. He was selling them. Whitmore wasn't just starving and beating children. He was selling them. To ranches, to factories, to places that needed cheap labor and didn't ask questions. Some of the children on the list were as young as 6. Jake photographed the pages with his mind, memorized every name, every number. Then he heard footsteps. He blew out the candle, pressed himself against the wall. The door opened. Light spilled in. "I know you're in here, Mr. Callahan." Whitmore's voice, calm, pleasant, like they were meeting for tea. Jake didn't move, didn't breathe. "The kitchen girl saw you ride in. One of my more loyal children. She came running to tell me." Whitmore stepped into the room, carrying a lamp. "Did you find what you were looking for?" Silence. "I know you're here. I can smell the candle smoke. Come out and we can discuss this like civilized men." Jake calculated. Distance to the window, distance to Whitmore. Odds of making it out clean. Not good. He stepped out of the shadows. "Reverend?" "Mr. Callahan." Whitmore smiled. "I must say I'm disappointed. Breaking and entering, trespassing. These are serious crimes." "So is selling children." The smile flickered, just for a second. "I don't know what you're talking about." "The ledger, the names, the payments." Jake held up the book. "It's all here. Every child you sold, every dollar you made." Whitmore's face changed. The mask dropped completely. "Give me that." "No." "Mr. Callahan, you don't understand what you're dealing with." "I understand perfectly. You're a monster, and I'm going to expose you." "With what? A stolen ledger testimony from a bitter ex-employee?" Whitmore laughed. "Who do you think they'll believe, a respected man of God, or a washed-up ranger with a dead family and a vendetta? The truth speaks for itself." "The truth is whatever I say it is." Whitmore stepped closer. "I've spent 20 years building this, cultivating relationships, earning trust. Do you really think one man can tear that down? I'm going to try." "Then you'll fail, and that little girl Emma, she'll suffer for it." Whitmore's eyes went cold. "I had plans for her, you know. A family in California willing to pay handsomely. Good workers are hard to find." Jake's vision went red. "You're not touching her." "I'll do whatever I want, and there's nothing you can—" Jake hit him. Hard. Whitmore went down. Lamp shattered. Oil spread across the floor. Fire caught. Raced along the spilled oil. Started climbing the curtains. Jake grabbed the ledger. Ran. Behind him, Whitmore screamed. "Fire, fire! Everyone up!" Jake burst out the back door. Sprinted for the trees. Found Sergeant. Mounted. kicked the horse into a gallop. Behind him, the orphanage began to burn. He was halfway to town when he realized what he'd done. The children. There were children in that building. Jake pulled Sergeant around, raced back. The fire was spreading fast. Smoke pouring from the windows. Children streaming out the front door. Adults shouting. Chaos everywhere. Jake dismounted, ran toward the building. "Everyone out!" He grabbed a woman, one of Whitmore's assistants. "Is everyone out?" "I don't know, I don't—" A scream from inside. High-pitched, terrified. Jake ran in, smoke everywhere, heat like a wall. He couldn't see, couldn't breathe. Pushed forward anyway. Found a staircase. Followed the screams. Second floor. Third door on the left. A boy. Maybe 10. Trapped under a fallen beam. Jake grabbed the beam, lifted. Something in his back tore. He kept lifting. "Go! Get out!" The boy scrambled free. Ran. Jake followed. Fire all around now. Ceiling starting to collapse. He made it to the stairs. Fell more than ran. Crashed through the front door. Landed in the snow. Hands grabbed him, pulled him away from the building. Sam's face appeared above him. "You stupid, stubborn fool!" "The kids?" "Everyone's out, all of them." Sam helped him sit up. "What the hell happened?" Jake held up the ledger, somehow still clutched in his hand. "Got what I needed. By burning down the orphanage. That wasn't the plan." "What was the plan?" "Get in, get the evidence, get out." "How'd that work out?" Jake watched the building burn. Orange flames against black sky. Children huddled in blankets, adults running everywhere, and Whitmore, standing apart, staring at Jake with murder in his eyes. About as well as expected. Sam helped him to his feet. "We need to go, now, before Grady shows up." "The ledger." "We'll keep until morning. Right now you're a suspect in arson." "I didn't start the fire." Whitmore knocked over the lamp. "You think he's going to tell it that way?" Jake looked at Whitmore again. The Reverend was talking to one of his assistants, pointing at Jake, already building his story. "No, he's not." "Then we go, now." They rode hard, back to the clinic, back to Emma. She was waiting by the window, watching for him. Her face lit up when he walked in. "You came back." "Told you I would." She ran to him, stopped short when she saw the blood on his hands, the burns on his coat. "What happened?" "There was a fire, at the orphanage." "Are you okay?" "I'm fine. Everyone got out." "And the Reverend—" Jake knelt down, looked her in the eyes. "He's going to be very angry. He's going to tell lies about me. But I found something that proves what he really is." "What is he?" "A bad man, a very bad man." Jake pulled out the ledger. "And this is how we stop him." Emma looked at the book, back at Jake. "Will it work?" "I don't know, but it's our best chance." The door burst open. Sheriff Grady, 2 deputies. "Jake Callahan, you're under arrest." Emma screamed, grabbed Jake's arm. "No, you can't take him. You can't." "Emma, it's okay." "It's not okay. You promised. You promised you wouldn't leave." Grady stepped forward. "Jake, don't make this harder than it has to be." "What's the charge?" "Arson, destruction of property, assault on Reverend Whitmore." "Whitmore started that fire, knocked over his own lamp when I hit him." "That's not what he says." "He's lying." "Then you can prove it at trial." Grady nodded to his deputies. "Take him." They grabbed Jake's arms, started pulling him toward the door. Emma was crying, screaming. Sam held her back. "Sam, take care of her." "Jake, take care of her." The deputies dragged him out, into the cold, into the dark. The last thing he heard was Emma's voice. Mr. Callahan, please, don't leave me, please." The jail cell was cold. Dark, small. Jake sat on the wooden bench, stared at the wall. The ledger was gone. Grady had taken it as evidence, said he'd review it, but Jake knew how that would go. By morning, Whitmore's friends would make it disappear, everything he'd fought for. Gone. And Emma, alone, scared, losing another person who'd promised to stay. He'd failed her, just like he'd failed Mary Ellen, just like he'd failed everyone. The cell door opened. Grady stepped in. "You've got a visitor." Eleanor Webb walked in, face hard. "You're an idiot." "Thanks, Eleanor." "I mean it. Breaking into the orphanage. Starting a fire. What were you thinking?" "I didn't start the fire. That's not what matters. What matters is what people believe." She sat down beside him. "Whitmore's already making the rounds, telling everyone you're dangerous, unstable, that you attacked him unprovoked. He was selling children, Eleanor. I have proof. You had proof. Now Grady has it. And by morning, Whitmore's friends will make sure it goes away." Jake's head dropped. "I know. So what's the plan now?" "I don't have one." "Well, you better find one, because the hearing is day after tomorrow, Christmas Day. And if you're still in this cell, Emma goes to whoever shows up to claim her. The uncle. Or Whitmore. Whoever gets there first." Eleanor stood. "Sam's with her. She's safe for now, but Jake, she needs you. Not in here. Out there." "How Grady's not going to let me go." "Bail. Judge Patterson said it this morning. $500. Jake almost laughed. He had the money. 10 times that amount. But it was at the ranch. And he was here. "Can you get to my ranch?" "There's money in the safe. Sam knows the combination." "Already done. Sam rode out an hour ago." Eleanor's face softened. "You've got friends, Jake. More than you know. People who remember who you used to be." "Who I used to be is dead." "No. He's just been sleeping." She walked to the door. "Be ready. Sam should be back by dawn." She left. The cell door clanged shut. Jake lay down on the bench, closed his eyes, saw Emma's face, heard her screaming. "Don't leave me. Please don't leave me." He'd made a promise, and he was going to keep it, whatever it took. Sam came through the door at first light, bag of coins in his hand, face like thunder. "Get up. We're getting you out." Jake was already on his feet, hadn't slept, couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Emma's face, heard her screaming. Grady took the money, counted it twice, signed the papers slow, like he was hoping something would stop him. "Hearings tomorrow, Christmas Day, 9 in the morning." Grady wouldn't meet Jake's eyes. "Don't make me regret this." "Where's the ledger?" "Evidence locker." "You read it." "I read it." And Grady was quiet for a long moment. Then, so soft, Jake almost missed it. "Get yourself a good lawyer." They walked out into the cold, dawn breaking gray over Cheyenne, snow still falling. Somewhere a church bell rang. "Emma?" Jake asked. "At the clinic. Eleanor's with her. She's scared, Jake. Real scared." "I know. She kept asking for you all night. Wouldn't eat. Wouldn't sleep." Sam's voice hardened. "You need to see her. Now." They rode hard, reached the clinic in minutes. Emma was sitting by the window, same place as before, watching the road. When Jake walked in, she didn't run to him, just sat there, staring. "Hey." "Nothing." "Emma, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "You promised." Her voice was flat, dead, worse than crying. "I know. You promised you wouldn't leave. You promised you'd come back before morning. I tried. Things went wrong." "Things always go wrong." She finally looked at him, eyes red, face swollen from crying. "Daddy promised he'd come back. Mama promised she'd get better. You promised you wouldn't leave." Jake knelt in front of her, eye level. "I'm here now." "For how long? Emma. How long until you leave again? How long until something goes wrong and you're gone and I'm alone? Jake didn't have an answer. Couldn't lie to her. She'd had enough lies. I don't know. Emma nodded, like she expected that. At least you're honest. She turned back to the window, dismissed him. Eleanor touched Jake's arm, pulled him aside. Give her time. She's been through hell. I made it worse. You made a mistake. That's not the same thing. Eleanor's voice dropped. There's something else. The uncle arrived this morning. Early train. Jake's blood went cold. Where is he? Hotel. Asking around about Emma. About you. Eleanor's face tightened. He's already been to the sheriff, filing his own petition. Damn it. It gets worse. He and Whitmore met this morning, behind closed doors. They're working together. Looks like it. Whitmore wants Emma in his orphanage. Augie wants the money Whitmore's willing to pay. Eleanor's eyes met his. They're going to outflank you, Jake. Blood relative, plus established institution. Judge Patterson will give them everything they want. Not if I can prove what Whitmore really is. With what the ledger's in evidence, Grady's too scared to use it. And Molly's word against a reverend won't hold water. There's got to be something else. Someone else. The children. Sam stepped forward. From the fire last night. They're at the church now. Temporary shelter until the orphanage is rebuilt. Whitmore's watching them. Not all of them. Sam's voice dropped. There's a boy. The one you pulled from the fire. Name's Daniel. 13 years old. Been at the orphanage for 6 years. What about him? He wants to talk. Said you saved his life. Said he owes you. Jake looked at Emma. Still staring out the window. Still refusing to look at him. Watch her. I'll be back. Jake. I'll be back. He walked out. Into the cold. Into the fight. The church was packed with children. 30, maybe 40 of them. Sitting in pews. Huddled under blankets. Eyes hollow. Whitmore stood at the front, talking to Judge Patterson. Both men looked up when Jake entered. Mr. Callahan. Whitmore's smile was poison. Come to confess. Come to talk to the children. I'm afraid that's not possible. These are my wards, under my protection. Your protection almost got them killed. An unfortunate accident, caused by your criminal actions. Whitmore's smile widened. The sheriff has already taken my statement, as have several witnesses who saw you enter the orphanage last night. They also saw you knock over the lamp. I did no such thing. You attacked me. In the struggle, you kicked the lamp over. Whitmore spread his hands. A tragic sequence of events, but the fault lies entirely with you. Jake stepped closer. Whitmore didn't flinch. I know what you are, what you've done. Those children have been saved, fed, clothed, given a Christian upbringing. Whitmore's voice rose, playing to the crowd. What have you given them? Mr. Callahan, a burning building, fear trauma. I gave them the truth. The truth. Whitmore laughed. The truth is that you broke into my orphanage, assaulted me, destroyed property, and now you're trying to cover your crimes by spreading lies. Judge Patterson stepped forward. Mr. Callahan, I'd advise you to leave. Your presence here is upsetting the children. Judge, if you just look at the evidence. I've reviewed the evidence. A ledger full of numbers that prove nothing except that Reverend Whitmore is an excellent bookkeeper. Patterson's face was stone. The hearing is tomorrow. Present your case then. But I warn you, baseless accusations against a man of God will not be tolerated. Jake looked around the room, at the children, at their scared faces. One boy met his eyes. 13, dark hair, burn marks on his arms from last night. Daniel. The boy nodded, slight, almost invisible. Then looked away. Jake turned and walked out. He found Daniel behind the church an hour later. The boy was alone, smoking a cigarette he'd stolen from somewhere. You shouldn't be doing that. Daniel shrugged. Gonna lecture me. You sound like Whitmore. I'm nothing like Whitmore. No. Daniel studied him. You're not. You came back into a burning building for me. Nobody's ever done that before. How long you been at the orphanage? 6 years. Since I was 7. Ma died. Pa was already gone. Daniel took another drag. Whitmore took me in, said he'd give me a new family. Did he? He gave me work, 16 hours a day in summer, 12 in winter. Beatings when I slowed down, the cellar when I talked back. Daniel's voice was flat, emotionless. That's his idea of family. The ledger. You know about the ledger. I know lots of things. Whitmore thinks kids are stupid. Don't pay attention. But we see everything. Daniel flicked ash into the snow. I know he sells kids. I know where the money goes. I know names of families who paid for children and what happened to them after. Would you testify in court? Would anyone believe me? I'd believe you. You ain't the judge. Daniel crushed the cigarette under his heel. Patterson goes to Whitmore's church, gets donations for his campaigns. They're friends. Then we find someone who isn't his friend, who everyone in this town is either bought or scared. Daniel's eyes met Jake's. You want to beat Whitmore? You need something bigger than testimony. Something he can't deny. Like what? Like the children he sold. Like their families. Like proof of where they are and what happened to them. Daniel reached into his pocket, pulled out a folded paper. I've been keeping records. Names. Dates. Places I heard mentioned. It ain't much, but it's a start. Jake took the paper, unfolded it. A list of names. Addresses. Notes in a child's handwriting. Why are you helping me? Because Tommy was my friend. Because he died in that cellar while Whitmore smiled. Daniel's voice cracked. Just for a second, then went hard again. And because that little girl Emma, I seen her. She reminds me of my sister, the one Whitmore sold when I was 9. Jake's stomach turned. Your sister. Abigail. She was 6. Whitmore told me she got adopted by a nice family in Denver. But I saw the money change hands. I saw the man who took her. Daniel's eyes went dark. He wasn't a nice man. The way he looked at her. Where is she now? I don't know. I've been trying to find her for 4 years. Nobody will help me. Daniel looked at Jake. But you got resources. You got money. You got people who owe you favors. You want me to find your sister. I want you to burn Whitmore to the ground. Finding Abigail would just be a bonus. Jake looked at the paper in his hand, at the names, the addresses. This could take time. The hearing is tomorrow. Then we better move fast. They spent the day tracking leads. Daniel knew more than he'd let on. 4 years of listening, watching, piecing together fragments. The first address was a ranch outside town. Big spread, cattle operation. The owner's name was Marcus Webb. No relation to Eleanor. Jake rode out alone, left Daniel at the church. Couldn't risk the boy being seen with him. The Webb ranch was quiet. Too quiet. A man came out of the barn when Jake rode up. Big, mean-looking, hand on his gun. Help you. Looking for Marcus Webb. You found him. What do you want? I want to ask about a boy you bought from Reverend Whitmore, 5 years ago. Name was Peter. Webb's face changed. Something dark flickered behind his eyes. Don't know what you're talking about. I think you do. Paid $300. Whitmore delivered him personally. You need to leave. Where's the boy Webb? Webb drew his gun, pointed it at Jake's chest. I said leave. Jake didn't move. What happened to him? Accident. Fell off a horse. Broke his neck. Webb's voice was flat. Tragic thing. I reported it to the sheriff. Everything proper. Which sheriff? Does it matter? Boy's dead. Been dead 4 years. Webb cocked the hammer. Now get off my property before you join him. Jake rode away, but he didn't go far. He circled back. Tied sergeant in a stand of trees, approached on foot. Webb was in the barn, talking to someone. Jake crept closer, listened. Callahan was here, asking about the boy. What did you tell him? A new voice, familiar. Told him it was an accident, same as I told everyone. And the body. Where it's always been, north pasture, under the big oak. Jake's blood ran cold. We need to move it, tonight, before Callahan comes back. Why nobody's believed the accusations before? Callahan's different. He's got nothing to lose. And that fire last night, things are getting out of control. Jake heard footsteps. He pressed himself against the barn wall. The second man emerged. Jake saw his face. Sheriff Tom Grady. Everything made sense now. Grady wasn't scared of Whitmore. He was part of it, had been all along. Taking money to look the other way, covering up murders, protecting the operation. Jake's hands shook, with rage, with grief, with the weight of what he'd just learned. He backed away, slow, careful. Made it to Sergeant, rode hard back to town. Sam was waiting at the clinic. What did you find? Grady's in on it, him and Webb and God knows who else. Jake dismounted, hands still shaking. There's a body, Sam, a child, buried on Webb's ranch. Sam's face went pale. Jesus, we need to dig it up, tonight. Get proof before they move it. Jake, it's the only way. Daniel's list has more names, more ranches, more bodies probably. But we need one, just one. Something the judge can't ignore. Patterson's in Whitmore's pocket. Then we go over his head. Federal marshal, territorial governor, someone. Jake grabbed Sam's arm. A child is buried in an unmarked grave because Whitmore sold him to a man who worked him to death. That's murder. Multiple murders. This goes beyond corruption. Sam was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. What do you need? Shovels, lanterns, someone to watch Emma while we're gone. Eleanor can stay with her. Good. We leave at midnight. Jake went inside, found Emma asleep on the bench, still wearing his coat, face peaceful for the first time in days. He knelt beside her, watched her breathe. I'm going to fix this, he whispered. I promise. She stirred, eyes fluttered open. Mr. Callahan. Hey, sorry, didn't mean to wake you. Where were you? Working, trying to stop the Reverend. Emma sat up, rubbed her eyes. Did you find something? Maybe. I need to check one more thing tonight. You're leaving again. It wasn't a question. I have to, but I'll be back before morning, I promise. You promised that before. I know. Jake took her hand. But this time if I don't come back, Sam and Eleanor will take care of you. You won't be alone. Emma studied his face. 8 years old, seeing too much. Are you doing something dangerous? Maybe. For me. For all the kids Whitmore hurt. For you. For everyone. Emma was quiet. Then she reached up, touched his face. My mama used to say some people are worth fighting for, even if it's dangerous. Your mama was a smart woman. She said the same thing about you, that night, before she died. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She said you were a good man, that you'd take care of me. She said she could see it, in your eyes, the way you looked at me. Emma's voice cracked. She said you had sad eyes, like someone who lost everything, but good eyes, like someone who still wanted to try. Jake couldn't speak. I'm sorry I was mad at you, about the jail. I was just scared. I know, I'm scared too. Really. All the time. Jake squeezed her hand. But sometimes being scared doesn't mean you stop. Sometimes it means what you're doing matters. Emma nodded. Lay back down. Come back. I will. Promise. Promise. She closed her eyes. Jake watched her until her breathing slowed. Until she was asleep again. Then he stood, walked out, found Sam. Let's go. They rode north under a dark sky, clouds covering the moon, snow starting to fall again. Webb's ranch was silent when they arrived. Main house dark. Barn empty. They found the big oak in the north pasture. Sam carried the lantern. Jake carried the shovel. The ground was frozen, hard as stone. Every stroke of the shovel sent pain shooting through Jake's arms, his back. He didn't stop. An hour passed. 2. The hole got deeper. Sam took over when Jake's arms gave out. Then Jake took over again. 3 feet down the shovel hit something. Not stone. Something softer. Jake dropped to his knees, started digging with his hands. Canvas. Wrapped around something. He pulled it free. Unwrapped it. Bones. Small bones. A child's skeleton. Sam made a sound. Turned away. Jake stared at what was left of Peter. A boy sold for $300. Worked to death. Buried in an unmarked grave. "We take him with us," Jake said. His voice was steady, cold. "We show the whole town what Whitmore's charity really looks like. Jake, we take him." They wrapped the remains in Jake's coat, loaded them onto Sergeant's back, rode back toward town. Dawn was breaking when they reached the church. People were starting to gather. Christmas morning. Families. Children. The faithful. Jake dismounted, walked to the front steps. Sam followed. Whitmore appeared in the doorway, face white. "What are you doing?" "Showing them the truth." Jake unwrapped the bundle, laid the bones on the church steps. Gasps, screams, people backing away. "This is Peter. He was 10 years old. Reverend Whitmore sold him to Marcus Webb 5 years ago. Webb worked him to death and buried him in his north pasture." Jake's voice carried across the crowd. "This is what your donations paid for. This is what your reverend does to children." Whitmore's face twisted. "Lies. This man is a criminal, an arsonist he's trying to destroy." "Then explain the bones." Jake stepped forward. "Explain how a 10-year-old boy ended up buried in an unmarked grave. Explain why Webb told me it was an accident. Explain why Sheriff Grady covered it up." Grady pushed through the crowd, face red. "That's a damn lie. Is it? Then where were you last night, because I saw you at Webb's ranch? Heard you talking about moving the body." The crowd turned, looking at Grady, looking at Whitmore. "This is absurd." Whitmore's voice rose. "This man broke into my orphanage, started a fire, nearly killed the children I've dedicated my life to saving. Those children were starved, beaten, sold." Jake turned to the crowd. "Ask them. Ask any of them. They'll tell you." A voice from the back, small, scared. "He's telling the truth." Daniel stepped forward, other children behind him. "The Reverend beat us when we didn't work fast enough, locked us in the cellar for days, sold kids to families who paid enough." Daniel's voice shook but didn't break. "I watched him sell my sister when I was 9. I never saw her again." More voices, more children, stories pouring out, years of abuse finally finding words. Whitmore's face went gray. "They're lying. All of them. Coached by this criminal. No." A new voice, deep, authoritative. A man pushed through the crowd. Tall, silver hair, badge on his chest. "I'm Marshal Thomas Reed, Territorial Authority." He looked at the bones, at the children, at Whitmore. "I've been investigating reports about this orphanage for 6 months. Sent letters to the sheriff that went unanswered. Asked for records that were never provided." Reed turned to Grady. "Thomas Grady, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice and conspiracy to cover up murder." Deputies emerged from the crowd. Grady tried to run. Didn't get far. Reed faced Whitmore. "Cornelius Whitmore, you're under arrest for child trafficking, abuse, and accessory to murder. We'll be adding charges as our investigation continues." Whitmore's mask finally shattered. He lunged for Jake, screaming. "You've ruined everything. Everything I built. 30 years. 30 years of..." Jake's fist connected with his jaw. Whitmore went down. Stayed down. The crowd erupted, cheering, crying. Years of suspicion finally confirmed. Sam appeared at Jake's shoulder. "It's over." "Not yet." Jake looked toward the clinic. "The uncle, he's still out there, still has a claim." "Actually," Eleanor Webb pushed through the crowd, Emma beside her. "About that." Emma ran to Jake. He caught her, lifted her up. "You did it?" She was crying, laughing, both at once. "You stopped him. We stopped him, all of us." "What about Uncle Augie?" Eleanor smiled. "That's the interesting part. Seems Marshall Reed had a file on August Dawson, too. Outstanding warrants in 3 territories: fraud, theft, assault." Her smile widened. "He's being arrested as we speak." Jake looked at Emma, at her tear-streaked face, her hopeful eyes. "So what does that mean?" "It means," Marshall Reed approached, face serious but not unkind, "that you're the only adult who's demonstrated genuine concern for this child's welfare. Her mother requested your guardianship. Multiple witnesses can attest to your character." The hearing won't be presided over by Judge Patterson. He's being investigated for corruption. Reed extended his hand. "I've taken emergency custody jurisdiction, and I'm recommending Emma Dawson be placed in your care, Mr. Callahan, permanently." Jake couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. Emma tugged his sleeve. "Mr. Callahan, does that mean I get to stay with you?" He looked at her. At this child who'd walked through a blizzard, lost her mother, faced monsters, and still found a way to hope. "Yeah," his voice cracked. "Yeah, you get to stay." Emma threw her arms around his neck, held on tight. The crowd around them cheered. Church bells started ringing, Christmas morning finally arriving, and somewhere in the chaos, Jake Callahan felt something he hadn't felt in 8 years. Not happiness. Not yet. Too much grief for that. But hope. Small and fragile and real. A beginning. Later that day, after the arrests and the statements and the chaos died down, Jake took Emma to the cemetery. Sarah's grave was fresh, snow covering the dirt. No stone yet. Just a wooden cross with her name. Emma knelt beside it, put her hand on the frozen earth. "Hi, Mama, it's me." Jake stood back, giving her space. "I miss you. I miss you so much." Emma's voice trembled. "But I'm okay. Mr. Callahan is taking care of me, just like you asked." She was quiet for a moment, listening to the wind. "The bad man is gone. The Reverend. Mr. Callahan stopped him. He saved all the kids." Emma wiped her nose. "You were right about him, Mama. He is a good man. He's got sad eyes, but he tries real hard." Jake's throat closed. "I'm going to live on his ranch now, with horses and everything. I wish you could see it." Emma's voice broke. "I wish you could see everything." She stood up, walked back to Jake, took his hand. "Can we come back to visit her? Whenever you want. Promise. Promise." They walked back to the horses. The sun was setting, orange and gold painting the snow. "Mr. Callahan." "Yeah." "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Your daughter, Mary Ellen." Emma looked up at him. "Do you think she'd like me?" Jake stopped, looked down at this girl who'd asked the one question he'd been avoiding. "Yeah." His voice was rough. "Yeah, I think she'd like you a lot." "Really?" "Really. You're brave, you're kind, you talk too much when you're nervous." A small smile. She was the same way. Emma smiled back. First real smile in days. "I'm glad." "Me too." They mounted up, started riding toward the ranch, toward home. "Mr. Callahan." "Yeah." "Do I have to keep calling you Mr. Callahan? What would you want to call me?" Emma was quiet, thinking. "I don't know yet, but not Mr. Callahan. That's too formal for someone who's keeping me forever." "Fair enough. Take your time." "Okay." They rode in silence, snow falling soft around them. Christmas lights glowing in the distance. Jake. He looked at her. She'd never used his first name before. Yeah. Thank you for everything. You're welcome. And Jake. Yeah. Merry Christmas. He almost laughed, almost cried, settled for something in between. Merry Christmas, Emma. They rode home together. Two people who'd lost everything finding something new. Not replacement, not forgetting. Just moving forward. One step at a time. The ranch house stood dark against the twilight sky, just like it had for 8 years. But tonight felt different. Emma stopped Sargent at the gate, stared at the building like she was afraid it might disappear. This is where you live. This is where we live. She turned to look at him. We? You heard the marshal. You're staying. Permanently. Jake dismounted, held out his hands to help her down. This is your home now, if you want it. Emma slid off the horse, stood there in the snow. His coat still wrapped around her, looking small and scared and hopeful all at once. I ain't never had a real home before, just motel rooms and tents. Well, now you do. She took his hand. Let him lead her to the porch. Sam was already there, waiting. He'd ridden ahead to light fires and warm the place up. Welcome home, little one. Emma smiled, small but real. They walked inside. Heat hit them first, then the smell of coffee and something cooking in the kitchen. Sam made dinner, Jake said. Nothing fancy, just stew. Sam took their coats. Figure you both could use something hot. They ate at the long table. Jake at one end, Emma at the other, Sam in the middle. 3 people in a house built for more. But it didn't feel empty anymore. Mr. Emma caught herself. Jake. Yeah. Is this really happening? Am I really staying? Really staying? And nobody can take me away. Not the Reverend. Not Uncle Augie. Not nobody. Nobody. Emma put down her spoon, stared at her bowl. I keep waiting to wake up, keep thinking this is a dream and I'll be back in the tent and Mama will be coughing and... Her voice broke. Sorry, I'm ruining dinner. You're not ruining anything. Jake pushed back his chair, walked to her end of the table, knelt beside her. It's okay to be scared, okay to cry, okay to miss your mama. I miss her so much. I know. Does it ever stop hurting? Jake was quiet for a long moment, thinking about Mary Ellen, about his daughter, about 8 years of pain that never fully went away. No, it doesn't stop, but it changes, gets easier to carry. He took her hand. And you don't have to carry it alone anymore. Emma threw her arms around him, sobbed into his shoulder. Jake held her, let her cry. Sam stood up quietly, left the room, gave them privacy. After a while, Emma's sobs slowed. She pulled back, wiped her face. Jake. Yeah. Can I see my room? Your room. You said this is my home now. That means I get a room, right? Jake hadn't thought about it, hadn't prepared anything. The guest rooms were empty, unused. He could put her in any of them. But one room kept pulling at him. One room he'd kept locked for 8 years. Follow me. He led her upstairs, down the hallway, past the guest rooms, stopped in front of a door. Jake. This was my daughter's room, Mary Ellen's room. His hand shook on the knob. I haven't opened it since she died. Why? Because it hurt too much. Because keeping it closed meant keeping her alive somehow, keeping her memory safe. Emma was quiet, waiting. But I think... Jake's voice cracked. I think she'd want someone to use it, someone who needs it, someone like you. Are you sure? No. Honest. Always honest with her. But I'm going to try. He turned the knob, pushed the door open. Dust. Stale air. 8 years of nothing. But underneath the room, pink walls, Small bed. Toys on shelves. Books stacked by the window. A child's room. Frozen in time. Emma stepped inside. Slow. Careful. Like she was entering sacred ground. It's beautiful. It was hers. Mary Ellen's. Yeah. Emma walked to the shelf, picked up a doll. Porcelain face. Blue dress. Well loved. Well worn. What was her name? The doll. Rosie. She named her Rosie because of the pink cheeks. Jake's voice was rough. She carried that doll everywhere. Wouldn't sleep without it. Emma held Rosie carefully, like she was made of glass. I had a doll once. Mama made her from scraps. I named her Hope. A small smile. She got left behind when we moved. I cried for days. What happened? Mama said sometimes we have to leave things behind to make room for new things. Emma looked at Jake. She was talking about Daddy, I think, but I didn't understand then. Jake crossed the room, stood beside her. You can use anything in here. The bed, the toys, the books. It's yours now. Won't that make you sad? Maybe. Probably. He put a hand on her shoulder. But my girl would want her things to be loved, not collecting dust in a locked room. Emma set Rosie down gently, turned to face Jake. I don't want to replace her. You're not. But this was her room, her stuff, her daddy. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I don't want you to forget her because of me. That's not possible. Jake knelt down, eye level. Mary Ellen is part of me. Always will be. Opening this room, letting you in, it doesn't erase her. It honors her. How? Because she had so much love to give, and she never got the chance to give it. Jake's voice broke. But maybe some of that love can go to you. Maybe that's how she lives on. Emma threw her arms around his neck, held tight. I'll take care of her things, I promise. I'll be real careful. I know you will. They stayed like that for a long time. Father and daughter. Not by blood, not by law yet, but by something deeper, something that mattered more. Sam found them an hour later. Emma asleep in Mary Ellen's bed, Rosie tucked under her arm, Jake sitting in the corner, watching. You okay, boss? Yeah. Jake stood, stretched. Yeah, I think I am. First time you've said that in 8 years. First time I've meant it. They walked downstairs. Sam poured whiskey, 2 glasses, Christmas tradition. What happens now? Paperwork, lots of it. Marshall Reed said the adoption process could take months. Jake took a drink. But Emma stays with me while it goes through. That's what matters. And Whitmore. Trial in the spring. Him and Grady and Webb and the rest. Jake's jaw tightened. They found 6 more graves on different ranches, 6 more kids who never made it home. Jesus. Daniel's sister was one of them. Sam went quiet. Found her buried outside Denver. The family who bought her? Jake couldn't finish. Couldn't say the words. Daniel knows. Marshall told him this morning, before everything else. Jake stared at his glass. Kid took it hard, real hard, but he wanted to know. Said not knowing was worse. What happens to him? And the other orphans? New orphanage, legitimate one. Church back east is sending people to run it proper. Reed's overseeing everything personally. Good. Silence. Just the fire crackling. Wind outside. She called me Jake tonight. Sam raised an eyebrow. First time. Said Mr. Callahan was too formal for someone who's keeping her forever. Smart girl. Too smart. Sees right through me. Maybe that's what you need. Sam finished his drink. Stood up. I'm going to bed. You should too. Tomorrow's going to be busy. What's tomorrow? Rest of your life, boss. Rest of your life. Sam left. Jake sat alone by the fire, staring at the flames. For the first time in 8 years, the silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. The next few weeks blurred together. Paperwork, interviews, home visits from territorial officials. Marshall Reed made good on his promise. Cut through red tape, pushed the adoption forward. Emma settled in. Slowly, carefully, like she was waiting for it all to fall apart. She explored the ranch with Sam, learned to ride proper, helped with chores, asked questions about everything, and every night she slept in Mary Ellen's room, with Rosie tucked under her arm. Jake found himself changing too, opening curtains he'd kept closed, lighting lamps he'd left dark, talking more than he had in years. One morning, 2 weeks after Christmas, he woke to find Emma standing by his bed. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. She bit her lip. "I want to show you something." He followed her downstairs, into the kitchen. The table was set, coffee made, eggs and bacon on plates, slightly burned but edible. "I made breakfast." Jake stared. "You cooked." "Sam showed me how, last week." Emma's face was anxious. "I wanted to surprise you. Is it okay I didn't use your good pans? I was real careful with the stove. Emma." She stopped. "This is the nicest thing anyone's done for me in 8 years. Her face lit up. "Really? Really?" They ate together. Jake didn't mention that the eggs were runny and the bacon was black in places. Didn't matter. Emma watched him eat like his approval was the only thing that mattered. "Jake?" "Yeah?" "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "The pond. The one where Mary Ellen—" She stopped, started again. "You used to go there every morning. Before. Sam told me. But you haven't gone since I came." Jake set down his fork. "No, I haven't." "Why?" "Because I don't need to anymore." "What do you mean?" Jake was quiet, thinking about how to explain. "I used to go there to punish myself, stand where she died, remember what I lost, what I did wrong." He looked at Emma. "But I don't need that anymore. I've got something else now. Someone else." "Me. You." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "But doesn't that mean you're forgetting her Mary Ellen?" "No." Jake reached across the table, took her hand. "It means I'm finally remembering her right. Not the death, not the guilt. Her. Who she was. How she laughed. What she loved." "How do you do that?" "I see it in you." Jake's voice was thick. "Every time you ask too many questions, every time you talk to the horses, every time you light up about something new, I see her." Emma was crying now, not sad tears, something else. "I'm glad." "Me too." They finished breakfast in silence, but it was comfortable silence. The kind families shared. Sam burst through the door an hour later, face urgent. "Jake, we got a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Telegram from Denver, the territorial court." Sam held out a paper. "Someone's contesting the adoption." Jake's blood went cold. "Who?" "Thomas Dawson." "Emma's father." "The one who abandoned her?" "Yeah." Sam's jaw was tight. "Apparently he heard about Sarah dying, heard about the Whitmore scandal, heard about you taking Emma in. And now he wants her back. Now he wants something. Question is what?" Jake looked at Emma. She'd gone pale, frozen. "He can't." Her voice was small, terrified. "He can't take me. He left. He promised to come back and he never did and—" "Hey!" Jake crossed to her, knelt down. "Nobody's taking you anywhere." "But he's my father. Real father. Blood." "Blood doesn't mean anything. Being there means something. And he wasn't there." "The court. The court will see the truth. We'll make them see." "How?" Jake didn't have an answer. Not yet. But he'd find one. "Sam, when's he arriving?" 3 days. Hearing set for Friday. Get me everything you can find on Thomas Dawson. Where he's been. What he's been doing. Why he left. Already on it. Jake turned back to Emma. She was shaking. I don't want to go with him. I don't even remember him. Just pictures. Mama had a picture. He looked mean. You're not going with him. Promise. That word again. Promise. The weight of it. I promise. The next 3 days were chaos. Sam dug up information. Jake consulted with lawyers. Eleanor helped where she could. Thomas Dawson had spent the last 5 years in California. Gold mining? Failed. Then moved to Nevada. Silver mining? Failed again. Now he was broke. Desperate. Looking for anything of value. He doesn't want Emma, Jake said. He wants what Emma's worth. Worth. Sarah's family had land in Missouri. Small farm. Passed to Emma when Sarah died. Dawson must have found out. Jake's fist hit the table. He wants to claim custody, then sell Emma's inheritance. Can he do that? If he's her legal guardian, he can do whatever he wants. Including selling her inheritance. Including that. Emma overheard. From the hallway where she'd been listening. There's land. Jake turned. Emma. Mama never told me. She never said anything about land or inheritance or... She probably didn't want you to worry about it. But that's why he's coming. Not for me. For the land. Probably. Emma's face hardened. Something fierce in her eyes. He left us. When I was 3, Mama cried for months. We had nothing. Nothing. And now he wants... She stopped. Breathed. I won't let him. You won't have to. I'll handle it. No. We'll handle it. Emma stepped forward. He's my father. I have things to say. Emma, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Her voice was steady now. Certain. Mama spent her whole life being scared of him, waiting for him, missing him. I won't do the same. Jake looked at her, at this girl who'd lost everything and kept standing, who'd been abandoned and abused and still found the courage to fight. Okay, we'll handle it together. Friday came cold and gray, snow threatening but not falling. The hearing was at the territorial courthouse, same building where Whitmore's fate had been decided weeks before. Different stakes. Same fear. Jake and Emma arrived early, Sam with them. Eleanor waiting inside. Thomas Dawson was already there. He was thin, gaunt. Eyes that darted around like a cornered animal. Hands that wouldn't stay still. He saw Emma. Something flickered across his face. Recognition maybe. Or calculation. Emma, my God, you've grown. Emma said nothing. Just stared. Honey, I'm so sorry about your mama. I heard what happened. I came as fast as I could. You came for the land. Dawson's smile faltered. What gnome? Sweetheart, I came for you. You're my daughter. My flesh and blood. You left us. I was trying to make something of myself. For us. For our family. 5 years. You were gone 5 years. Emma's voice was ice. Mama wrote letters. Begged you to come back. You never answered. The mail out west is unreliable. I never got... Liar. Dawson's face changed. The mask slipping. Now listen here. No. You listen. Emma stepped forward. Jake moved to stop her, but she waved him off. Mama spent 5 years working herself sick trying to feed me. 5 years waiting for you, hoping you'd come back. And when she was dying... Her voice cracked. When she was dying, she didn't ask for you. She asked for him. Emma pointed at Jake. She asked a stranger to take care of me because she knew you never would. That's not fair. Neither is watching your mama die. Neither is being alone at 8 years old. Neither is having a father who only shows up when there's money involved. Dawson's face went red. You ungrateful little... That's enough. Jake stepped between them. You want to talk to her, you talk through me. She's my daughter. She's a child who watched her mother die. She doesn't need you yelling at her. What she needs is her father, her real father, not some washed-up rancher trying to replace his dead kid. Jake's fist moved before his brain could stop it, connected with Dawson's jaw. The man went down. Jake! Eleanor grabbed his arm. Not here, not now. Marshall Reed appeared, face hard. What's going on? This man threatened my daughter. Your daughter. Dawson climbed to his feet. She's my daughter. Mine. And I'll be damned if I let some stranger... Enough. Reed's voice cut through everything. The hearing starts in 5 minutes. Save it for the judge. They filed into the courtroom, Jake on one side, Dawson on the other, Emma in the middle, where she'd been her whole life. Judge Harrison presided. Older than Patterson. Harder. Not bought by anyone. This hearing will determine permanent custody of Emma Grace Dawson, age 8. 2 parties have filed claims. Thomas Dawson, biological father. Jacob Callahan, proposed adoptive father. Harrison looked at both men. Make your cases. Dawson went first. Tale of woe. Hardship in California. Unable to return. Always planned to come back. Devastated by Sarah's death. Wants only to reunite with his daughter. The lies flowed smooth. Practiced. Believable if you didn't know better. Jake went next. Truth. Finding Emma on the road. Sarah's dying wish. The promise made. The fight to protect her. Your Honor, I'm not Emma's blood. I can't claim years of relationship. But I can claim this: I've been there. Every day since December 18th. Through her mother's death. Through Whitmore's threats. Through everything. Jake's voice steadied. Thomas Dawson has been gone 5 years. Where was he when Emma needed him? Where was he when Sarah was dying? Objection. Dawson stood. I had no way of knowing. Sit down, Mr. Dawson. You'll have your chance to respond. Dawson sat. Mr. Callahan, continue. Emma's mother made me promise to protect her. I intend to keep that promise. Not because of the land. Not because she reminds me of my own daughter. Because she deserves someone who shows up, and I show up. Harrison nodded, turned to Emma. Young lady, I'd like to hear from you. Emma stood, small, scared, but standing. Your Honor, my daddy left when I was 3. I don't remember him, just pictures. Mama used to tell me stories, but she stopped after a while. Said it hurt too much. She took a breath. Mr. Callahan, Jake, I've known him for less than a month. But in that month, he gave me his coat when I was freezing. He sat with my mama while she died. He promised to take care of me, and he kept his promise. Her voice grew stronger. He fought for me. When the Reverend wanted to take me, when everyone else gave up, he didn't. She turned to look at Dawson. My daddy never fought for anything. He left. And leaving is easy. Staying is hard. Emma looked at the judge. Jake stayed. That's all I need to know. Silence in the courtroom. Harrison was quiet for a long moment, reading papers, thinking. Mr. Dawson, it says here you have outstanding debts in 3 territories. That your primary residence for the past 2 years has been boarding houses and mining camps. That you have no stable income and no permanent home. I'm working on... It also says you made no attempt to contact your wife or daughter in 5 years. No letters. No telegrams. No financial support. The mail. I've checked with the Postal Service. They have no record of any correspondence from you. Nothing sent. Nothing returned. Dawson's face went gray. Mr. Callahan, by contrast, owns a substantial ranch. Has employment references spanning 15 years. Has no criminal record despite recent events. Harrison almost smiled. In fact, His actions in exposing Reverend Whitmore's operation suggest a man of considerable moral character. He set down the papers. Thomas Dawson, your claim is denied. Based on abandonment, lack of financial support, and inability to provide a stable home, I find you unfit for custody. You can't. I can and I have. Harrison turned to Jake. Jacob Callahan, your petition for adoption is approved. Emma Grace Dawson is hereby placed in your permanent custody. Emma ran to Jake. He caught her, lifted her up. It's over. It's over. I get to stay. You get to stay. Dawson stormed out, cursing, threatening lawsuits that would never happen. Jake didn't care, didn't matter. All that mattered was the girl in his arms. They rode home in silence, the good kind. Sam met them at the gate, saw their faces, grinned. Good news. The best. That night they had a celebration. Sam cooked. Eleanor came out from town. Daniel, too, the boy had nowhere else to go, and Jake had made him an offer. Room and board in exchange for help around the ranch. A chance at a real life. They ate and laughed and told stories. Emma stayed up past her bedtime. Nobody said anything. Later, when the guests had gone, and Daniel was settled in his room, and Emma was finally asleep, Jake walked outside. The night was clear. Stars everywhere. Cold, but not bitter. He walked to the family plot. 2 graves, 2 headstones. His wife, his daughter. He knelt in the snow. Hey, Mary Ellen. Both of you. Silence. Just the wind. I know I haven't been here in a while. Been busy. Good busy. Hey. He pulled something from his pocket. A photograph. Him and Emma. Taken earlier that week. This is Emma. She's 8. Almost 8 birthdays in March. He set the photo against Mary Ellen's headstone. I think you'd like her. She talks too much when she's nervous, just like someone else I knew. His voice cracked. I'm adopting her. Made it official today. She's going to live in your room, sleep in your bed, play with your toys. He wiped his eyes. I hope that's okay. I hope... He couldn't finish. Jake. He turned. Emma stood a few feet away, wearing a coat over her nightgown, slippers in the snow. Couldn't sleep. Saw you walking out here. You should be in bed. I know. She came closer, looked at the graves. Is this them? Yeah. Mary Ellen and little Mary Ellen. My girls. Emma knelt beside him, studied the headstones. They have the same name. Family tradition. First daughter gets the mother's name. Emma was quiet. Then, Jake. Does that mean if you adopted me proper, I'd have to change my name? What? No. You're Emma. You'll always be Emma. But I mean... She bit her lip. When I'm really yours, legal and everything, will my name change? Your last name will. You'd be Emma Callahan, if you want. Emma Callahan. She said it slow, tasting the words. I like it. Jake's heart swelled. Jake? Yeah. Can I say something to them? Mary Ellen and the other Mary Ellen. Of course. Emma turned to the graves, folded her hands. Hi, I'm Emma. I'm going to be living in your house now, using your room. I hope that's okay. She paused. I promise I'll take good care of your daddy. He's been real sad for a long time. But I'm going to make him smile again. I'm going to try real hard. Jake's eyes burned. And maybe... Emma's voice wavered. Maybe you could look out for my mama, too. She just got to heaven. She doesn't know anyone there. Maybe you could be friends. A breeze stirred, light, gentle, like a hand brushing past. I think they'd like that, Jake said. Emma smiled, took his hand. Can we go inside now? My feet are cold. Yeah, let's go inside." They walked back to the house together. Father and daughter, not by blood, not by birth, by something stronger, by choice. Months passed. Winter turned to spring. Snow melted, grass grew. Life continued. Emma thrived. School in town, friends her own age, writing lessons from Sam, cooking lessons from Eleanor. A normal life. Finally. Jake changed too. Started going to town more, talking to neighbors, rejoining the world he'd left behind. On Emma's birthday, March 15th, just like she'd said, they had a party. The first birthday party the ranch had seen in almost a decade. Cake, presents, too many people crowded into the kitchen. Emma blew out 8 candles, made a wish. "What did you wish for?" Jake asked. "Can't tell, won't come true." Fair enough. Later, after the guests left and the cake was put away, Emma found Jake on the porch, looking at the stars. "Jake? Yeah. Remember when you asked what I wished for? You said you couldn't tell. I know, but I want to tell you anyway." She climbed up beside him. "I wished for this." "For what?" "For this, for you, for the ranch, for Sam and Eleanor and Daniel, for everything." She leaned against him. "I wished it would last forever." Jake's throat closed. "Emma, I know nothing lasts forever. I know that. Mama taught me that." She looked up at him. "But I wished anyway. Because this is the happiest I've ever been. And I wanted you to know." Jake pulled her close, held tight. "I'm going to do everything I can to make that wish come true. Promise?" "Promise." They sat there together, watching the stars, father and daughter. Not by blood, by choice. And sometimes that's the strongest family of all. The next morning, Jake found Emma in Mary Ellen's room, her room now. She was sitting on the bed, holding Rosie, crying. "What's wrong?" "I had a dream about Mama. She was here, in this room, looking at me." Jake sat beside her. "Good dream or bad dream?" "Good, I think. She looked happy. She said she was proud of me." Emma wiped her eyes. "And then she said goodbye." "How did that feel?" "Sad. But also..." Emma thought about it. "Also okay, like she was giving me permission. To be happy here. To love you and Sam and everyone. Without feeling guilty." "That sounds like your mama." "Yeah." Emma smiled through her tears. "She always wanted me to be happy. Even when she was sick. That's all she talked about." "And are you happy?" "Yeah, I am." Emma leaned against him. "I miss her. I'll always miss her. But I'm happy too. Is that okay?" "That's more than okay. That's everything." Emma hugged him. Tight. "Thanks, Jake." "For what?" "For keeping your promise. For staying. For..." She pulled back, looked at him with those 2 old eyes. "For choosing me. Best choice I ever made." She smiled. Real smile. The kind that lit up the whole room. "Come on," Jake said. "Sam's making breakfast, and I think Daniel's trying to teach the chickens to dance." "That's ridiculous. That's Daniel." They walked downstairs together, into the kitchen, into their life. Sam was at the stove. Daniel was indeed in the yard doing something absurd with the chickens. Eleanor had stopped by with fresh bread. Family. Not the one Jake was born into. Not the one he'd lost. A new one. Built from broken pieces. Held together by choice and love and stubbornness. Jake looked around the room. At these people who'd become his world. 8 years ago, he'd buried his heart in the ground next to his wife and daughter. Today, a little girl with 2 old eyes had dug it back up. He hadn't been looking for redemption. Hadn't been looking for anything. Just trying to survive one more day. But Emma Grace Dawson had walked into his life, literally walked through a blizzard in the wrong direction, and changed everything. She wasn't a replacement for Mary Ellen. Could never be. Didn't want to be. She was something new. Something unexpected. something he didn't know he needed until she was there. And now watching her laugh at Daniel's ridiculous chicken dance, watching Sam try to hide his smile, watching Eleanor shake her head at all of them. Jake understood what he'd been missing all these years. Not just his daughter. Not just his wife. Hope. He'd buried that along with everything else. Locked it away in a room he couldn't open. Stood at a frozen pond every morning, punishing himself for being alive. But hope doesn't stay buried. Not forever. Sometimes it walks out of a blizzard wearing tennis shoes and 2 messy braids. Sometimes it grabs your hand and doesn't let go. Sometimes it calls you Jake instead of Mr. Callahan and asks to stay forever. Emma caught his eye across the room. Smiled. "You okay?" "Yeah." Jake smiled back. "Yeah, I'm okay." And for the first time in 8 years, it was true. That night, after everyone was asleep, Jake sat by the fire one last time. Whiskey in hand. Photograph on the mantel. Not the old photograph. The new one. Him and Emma at her birthday party. Both of them smiling. Both of them alive. He raised his glass. To second chances. Drank. Set down the glass. Went upstairs. Stopped at Emma's door. She was asleep. Rosie tucked under her arm. Face peaceful. His daughter. His choice. His future. Jake Callahan had spent 8 years learning how to die. Tonight, watching this child sleep, he finally remembered how to live. And that was the only miracle he'd ever need.